It is time to judge the players. So got a few replays here. This is going to be interactive. I've done these before, but comment below. Let the players know what you think and how they did. So I'll go over my thoughts. This is the RU251, just jumping in here. Have a few replays just from the subscribers. As a light tank, you want to get yourself in a position to spot. So that's what I'm looking for. Is that what he's going to do? Looks like he's kind of trying to put himself in a position to spot. It looks like from the enemy lineup they do have 3 mediums. They have 2 mediums and a light tank. So with the RU251, it doesn't have a whole lot of armor, but you do need to put yourself in those positions to spot. Looks like he's running into a wall here. Is using that landscape. There was some spotting that he was, I think, trying to do there, but a little bit further back. I think he could have done a little better, pushing a little bit further up, more on this side, and just to kind of see what was happening. As the RU251, you have excellent maneuverability. Your top speed is actually the fastest in the game, so he could have actually got there before the enemies. And then if anything would have happened, assess the situation, either disengage from that situation or re-engage. So yeah, and he does have his team over here on the side. So I think honestly, if he would have pushed up, it would have been a little better. So kind of a meh on spotting there at the beginning, but he is trying to use this landscape as much as possible to protect himself. He's being very consciously aware, looking over at the enemy. This can be a bit risky here. He definitely has to be very careful in not exposing himself. He is relying on armor a little bit, but the RU251 does have a good DPM, and the Type 59 does not have a great DPM. So it actually wasn't too bad of a trade-off. And he was able to keep himself just behind this hill right here, protecting him from the right-hand side. If he wouldn't, he could have gotten very, very quickly deleted here. So this is the time you want to use that maneuverability. You do not want to be relying on that armor. So there you go. So, yep, distracted target. Able to still take those shots, just protecting him enough so he's not too exposed from that Pantera. Taking him out, and this is a distracted target, but want to be a bit careful here because you're putting yourself in a situation to rely on your armor. Could have gone up on the hill just to protect yourself and then kind of popped down and went up and down to go down, but they're ahead, so he was distracted. That's fine. It all kind of worked out. The Smasher, you don't want to get hit by. Now the Smasher has already taken his hit, so it's actually okay to move in just because of that much slower reload of the Smasher. And he was able to get rid of him before deleting, once again, the RU251. So he's putting himself in a position, and I talk about a lot of this, is knowing your tank strengths and weaknesses, and then knowing your enemy's strengths and weaknesses, so you can position yourself as effectively as possible to expose those enemy weaknesses. So he's doing pretty good here. He's not exposing himself too much in a situation to rely on his armor. If that time were to come and they were to focus on him. So honestly, overall, not bad. I would say 8, 7 out of 10. I think the spotting could have done a little bit better, but keep up the good work. Going into the next one, we have the Panther. It's a medium tank. You do want to be spotting already off the bat. Here is a thumbs down. Looking over at the lineup, they only have 1 medium tank. You have a medium and light tank, obviously this T49. There is a bush in the center, some hills. You can kind of cut up through and try to get eyes on the enemy. So not quite a good place here, as the Panther doesn't have a lot of armor. And so yeah, he's trying to put himself in a position to use his cannon, but he's kind of a little far back. It doesn't really, this is why spotting early enough on, if he would have went to a position at the beginning, if he would have went to a position at the beginning to spot, excuse me, like more center, it could have helped him make decisions to know, oh, maybe I could have flanked further right, and got some shots over through the sides, or, you know, peeked out, come up, almost kind of peeked through the middle, whichever, and been able to get some great shots off. But he's putting himself in a position quite a bit here to rely on his armor. This is not, I would say he's getting pretty lucky here because targets are not even focusing on him at all. I would say if that T-29 would have been healthier, he would have been definitely the center of attention just because he has less armor. So this is, he's doing, in terms of trying to use this dead tank, he is using it the best to his ability because you can't completely rely on your armor. So he is, in a way, using the landscape to help protect himself as much as he can, but still a very, very risky situation. Panther does have a great cannon, so he is utilizing that, but honestly in a very, very, very risky position, I would say. I would not recommend playing the Panther in this way. They are now distracted targets. It looks like he was able to bounce around there, luckily. But yeah, this is a lot of exposing and relying on your armor a ton through this replay. So I would say this one was a lot more luck, but ended up working out in this game. But overall, in terms of how I'd rate this replay, is probably more on the lower scale, more of like a 4 out of 10, primarily because putting yourself in a position to rely on your armor a ton. But honestly, worked out great. Thank you so much, TJ Blitz. Keep up the good work. Going in here, the TOG 2 is a horrendously slow tank. Because of how slow it is, I just went extremely fast forward. See what we can do. But with the TOG, I always just go straight on. Like, it's one of these tanks, because it's so slow, you just have to cut through the map. Either through the center, because if you go completely one way or the other, on the one far side or the other, and the team ends up being on the complete opposite side, the TOG just being so slow, it just is just not good. So you have to put yourself in a position so that your teammates have eyes on you, you have eyes on your team, and you have to rely on the landscape a lot. Now, he is doing that here, which is protecting him from shots like the KV2. And let's see. Okay, he didn't quite use his third-person view to look around that corner before exposing himself to the KV2, which, if the KV2 would have been pointed his way and got a shot off, that would have been a very bad trade of damage. But they are quite down right now. This can actually be quite interesting. Now, the TOG has an amazing DPM, a great hit point pool. It doesn't have a lot, or I should say great armor. So using this landscape, this building, and this DPM is actually the best way to be playing the TOG 2. So honestly, he's doing great here. It looks like, let's see what else happens. There's another KV2. This is very risky because you do not want to get hit by the KV2. He is trying to expose himself at a very minimal amount, trying to get those shots off. Excellent shot there on that KV2. Definitely needed to take him out. Looks like their team is able to catch up. Yeah, the DPM in this thing is just absolutely amazing. Now, with the TOG, once again, he has an amazing DPM. So so he's in a very, very bad position here. He needs to push, try to stay on the complete opposite side of the building of that KV2, only exposing himself to this Wolverine. And can he get out in time? He can. So, yeah, if you're ever in a situation, especially like that, where you're exposed from multiple angles, where enemies can get shots on you, it was smart of him to try and be on that opposite side of the building as the KV2 and just get out of there as fast as possible. Now it looks like things are in their favor, so things have turned around. So honestly, overall, I would say he did a great job playing the TOG. Honestly, like, I would give him, based on how he played, utilizing the strengths and weaknesses, just peeking, honestly, a 10 out of 10. Great job. Keep up the work. Going into the VK90P, great armor profile. We're going in now with this tank's strengths. I'm expecting this player to really go up on the front lines. This is definitely a frontline tank. As a heavy tank, you want to put yourself in those positions. This is a great side scraping tank, but you do want to get yourself in those frontline positions to utilize that side scraping, utilize that armor. So excellent here and moving right off the bat. Capping. So far he's fulfilling his role. Let's see. Okay. So that guy got deleted pretty quick. He is trying to back up behind the building here. So even with a well-armored tank, sometimes even most of the time, I try to still utilize the landscape as much as I can. Let's see. So he is being conscientious and paying attention. Now that VK does not have himself very well positioned at all. His sides were too weak. That guy was just asking. He was putting himself in a position to go into a very heavily team position, which had to more so rely on his armor, and there's not enough distraction. So going kind of right in here was suicide for that Sheridan. Now this is great. The VK90 has an excellent penetration value. It is using APCR. He is still using that landscape and that side scraping ability. He's using the hill, so he's doing a very excellent job. And the side scraping, utilizing the tank's strengths and weaknesses. There's a lot of enemies on this side. However, he doesn't quite have a shot, and he kind of needs to get in, but he doesn't want to expose himself too much to that IS-7. Those two teams there, excellent. Great, gets the shot. So here, they're very aggressive. I'd be curious just using the third-person camera view a little bit more to see what's going on around the corner, or just kind of peek up a little bit more. Looks like they're right up here in this area. So let's get rid of him. Perfect. Focus on him. You do not want to have any enemies on your side that is the area of weakness for your armor. So they're ahead. This is honestly just full-on push now, which he's doing. So honestly, in terms of playing the tank, overall very well done. I would have been curious, to use that third-person view a little bit just to kind of see what's going on over the buildings, what other teammates are doing. And sometimes, even if tanks have you pinned down on one side, to alter positions, maybe go to the other side of the building, see if you can get some other shots. But overall, pretty good replay. I would say 9 out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10 on that one. So keep up the good work. Now, last replay was an actual video sent in. Please send me the video or the replay file itself within the game. But going right in as a light tank is what the dragon is. You want to get yourself in an effective position to spot right off the bat. So that's what I'm looking for here. So he is trying to use his view range. That is one of the strengths of the light and medium role, is getting yourself in that position to do so. So he is fulfilling that already. Thumbs up in doing that, and also doing it and trying to get to these positions as quickly as possible. Now, he doesn't have a lot of gun depression, but he is utilizing the terrain, so he knows his tank's strengths and weaknesses, and he's trying to use one of his tank's weaknesses, which is gun depression. Trying to use that, the terrain or just environment, just the landscape, to help him with that. So excellent job in doing that here in this position. So this is what's so great about fulfilling your role as a light. Now, he is being very aware of the situation. He's not tunnel vision, utilizing that view range, looking around, paying attention where the enemy is, where the team is. So everyone is basically over here on the right-hand side. He's able to get some excellent shots on. Now, from here, it's good to go and either try to get eyes or try to get rid of this really weak enemy, which is excellent. He did that there. So, and this is really how you want to play with these tanks. This is, I could tell you, the reason why he's doing very well here is because he's looking for those distracted targets. He's flanking them. He's using his view range. He's using the landscape. And that is how you want to be playing a tank like this. So he's now putting himself in a position. He now look like the KV-2 turn to focus on him. Use that third-person view. The recording's a little blurry, so can't tell what's going on, but that could have been very, very risky if the KV-2 was honed in, but I couldn't tell if he was moving. So it's not good to expose yourself at this moment, just because the dragon has no armor. Now, that probably would have been the time to use your third-person view just to poke out and make sure he's not focused on you before coming around the corner, as that would have been a depletion of a lot of hit points. So that could have been a very risky move. I probably would have done that a bit differently. So, excellent. Eliminating those one-shot weaker targets first, just to take out a cannon. And here, okay, so here they've got one guy left, and he's got enough hit points. So coming up from the side or behind really helps put him in a bad situation. However, now this smasher is rushing him. This guy doesn't have a ton of health. I'm not sure what that VK is doing, but he's utilizing his strength, his mobility to try to get behind this smasher. And he's not the center of attention here. The smasher's trying to get rid of this VK. The smasher doesn't have great gun depression, but utilizing that landscape. So this really puts him in a bad spot. So honestly, excellent. Really good job. I would say next time just use that third-person view to help you. Now, you guys get to do the judging. Put the comments below and let these players know how they did. Stay cool and keep tanking.